Look at the physical geography of Rajasthan. It is a brutal, unforgiving expanse of arid sand and harsh heat. Yet this punishing environment blossoms into an explosion of vibrant textiles, massive communal gatherings, and relentless celebration. The local rhythm of life follows a specific rule: Sat Var no Tyohar. It translates to 7 days, 9 festivals. In the 13th century, this region was a landscape of extreme turmoil. Communities were caught between the external threat of Turkic invasions and a rigid, internal social hierarchy that offered little flexibility. For those caught in the crossfire, distant, institutional gods provided no physical barrier against a raiding army. This vacuum was filled by the Lok Devta, or folk deity. These were real, mortal people who earned their divine status through specific, ultimate sacrifices for their local communities. To make sense of the celebrations that define modern Rajasthan, you have to look at the blood spilled by these local protectors. These protectors were often warriors like Pabuji and Gogaji. They rode into battle, sometimes against their own kin, specifically to protect the cattle and livelihoods of marginalized herdsmen. The level of honor demanded by these figures was absolute. After being fatally wounded while saving a woman's cows, the legend says Tejaji remembered a promise he had made to a snake on his journey. Bleeding to death, he went back to fulfill his word. Because his body was covered in severe battle wounds, Tejaji offered the snake his only uninjured part, his tongue. He chose death over breaking his promise. These acts of extreme physical courage established a cultural baseline where protecting the vulnerable and honoring a promise were valued above life itself. Other Lok Devtas fought different battles. Ramdevji focused on internal social reform, leading a campaign against untouchability and caste-based discrimination. Despite an era of intense religious conflict, these protectors earned such deep respect that local Muslim populations began worshipping them alongside Hindus. Gogaji became known to local Muslims as Jahir Pir, while Ramdevji was widely venerated as Ramsa Pir. These shared figures created a rare common ground. Over centuries, these memorials evolved into massive annual gatherings, forming the foundation of the Rajasthani Mela, or massive community fair. By acting as protectors for everyone, regardless of their background, these medieval heroes provided the first shared cultural language for a multi-religious society. The communal bonds formed around those shrines eventually mapped themselves onto the agricultural year, creating a permanent calendar of celebration. This cycle is anchored by the proverb, Teej Tyohara Bauri, Le Dubi Gangor. It marks the beginning of the festivals with Teej in the monsoon month of Shravan. Women welcome the life-giving monsoon rains by hanging swings from trees and singing traditional folk songs about the changing season. By spring, the focus shifts to the harvest, and the energy erupts into the festival of Holi. Local traditions can be strange and intense. In Barmer, participants throw stones. In Jaipur, they perform theatrical mock birth and death ceremonies right in the street. These rituals allow for a total chaotic break from the usual social rules. For a society that historically lived under the constant pressure of both a harsh environment and a violent history, these festivals provide a way to briefly step outside the demands of survival. The annual cycle concludes with the Festival of Gangor, a massive display of devotion rooted in the stories of Shiva and Parvati. In Udaipur, the celebration culminates on the water. Highly decorated traditional boats glide across the lake at sunset, surrounded by thousands of people lining the ghats. Every drumbeat and every splash of color in these modern festivals is linked directly to the legacy of the Lok Devtas. Rajasthan's vibrant culture is a conscious celebration of life in a land where, for centuries, the price of survival was paid for in blood.